Spent my whole weekend.
Oh, you're good. All right. Screwed up there. Take two. All right, we are back. This is Astonishing X-Men. Trevor's going to take over and sum up life in the Shadow King's version of the astral plane, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Trevor, why don't you take it away?
Let's rock and roll. Fucking let me pull it up real quick because I was trying to get that HBO Go code going, but here we go. All right, let me minimize. Fucking. All right, so writer for this wonderful book is Charles Soule. The artist and cover is Mike Deodato Jr. Colors by Frank Martin and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. Who else? Anybody from VC's. It's either Joe Caramanga, Clayton Cowles, or Joe Sabino. God, I have their names memorized. Isn't that crazy? The letterers, and I have their names memorized. Yeah. That's how many books they do. The solicit is Enter the Astral Plane. In the next chapter of this action-packed X-Men epic, Psylocke, Rogue, Old Man Logan, and the rest of their impromptu team travel to the astral plane in pursuit of the dastardly, he said dastardly, Shadow King. But on the astral plane, not everything is as it seems, and reality is only as reliable as what you think it is. Will the X-Men be able to contain the chaos from spilling out into the world? From superstar, yeah, that's right, superstar writer Charles Soule and rock star artist Mike Deodato. I didn't know he was a rock star. No. Astonishing X-Men is the book you cannot afford to miss. That's true, though.
I didn't know dastardly. I mean, well, I did know dastardly was a word. What I'm saying is dastardly, when you say dastardly Shadow King, that's the least scary thing you can say about a villain. You know what I'm saying? When you say he's dastardly, I'm like, well, he's not scary at all. But
dastardly deeds. That's all I think of. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah. You got a pretty cool cover here with all the X-Men with skull faces. I'm always a fan when there's skulls on the cover of any comic. Way to go, Mike Deodato.
Way to go.
It looks like it starts off with Mr. Miracle almost. Like
it does.
Some dude in a Scott-free uniform.
He's even got the little circles there. That's Multiple Man's friggin' trademark t-shirt. But it does. I'm going to start off by saying the start of this issue bummed me out because we start off with Multiple Man introducing us to the story of the X-Men. But it bums me out because Multiple Man, Jamie Madrox, is dead. He died in Death of X. Technically, we don't actually know if that was really him because he has a bunch of dupes running around all over the world. I hope it wasn't him, and I hope he comes back. But here he is in the astral plane.
At least there's an easy way out if they change their mind, you know?
Yeah. Because, the other day I just read the 5-issue miniseries Madrox by Peter David and Paulo Raimondi. And it was fucking fantastic. And it made me love the character. Like, the fact that he, sends out all these dupes to, go to the Shaolin Temple for 5 years. And then that dupe comes back and he absorbs it and friggin' has all the knowledge that it had. And I'm like, isn't that the coolest thing ever? Like, you have all these paths you can go down in life, and he can send out a duplicate of himself to go and do anything, go get a degree, be a doctor, and then he just absorbs them back and he gains all that knowledge. So it's like you can sit on your couch for the rest of your life and never miss out on a thing. It's so cool. Anyway, back to Astonishing X-Men. So we start off this issue with Multiple Man welcoming everyone to the story of the X-Men. The team seems to think they're really watching a show, not realizing where they really are. They're sitting in their seats making funny quips about the originality of the show and the ticket prices, which I thought was pretty friggin' funny. Because fucking Logan's like, making something new is risky. Safer to go with something that's familiar. Comfort food. Fucking Gavitt's like, I don't care if it's new, just hope it's good. He's like, I paid $4 for this ticket. This is fucking crazy.
$4 is not a lot for a ticket either.
Definitely not a lot of money.
Go see any show that costs $4. Something I look forward to.
Nowadays, you're paying $11-12 depending. And if you go to the AMC theater, you might be paying a little more than that for those wonderful leather seats. Anyway, so next we catch up with the Shadow King and Charles Xavier, and Charles is chained to his wheelchair at a table, and it looks like they're at a bar in the astral plane. However that works, because it looks like there are other people there. Could be other psychics.
It's probably the people all stuck in his web, remember?
Yeah, well, I mean, none of them look like they're being held captive. You got a guy sitting over here at a table with a little midget behind him. I don't know if that's a midget or a child. There's another guy at another table behind the Shadow King, and then there's a guy at the bar, like tending bar, and nobody else is chained up like Professor X, you know. But
shitload of spider webs. I'd want to get the fuck out of there.
yeah, me too. I don't even want to be near the Shadow King. Like, he looks fucking creepy as fuck. First of all, I have arachnophobia. Like, every night, like 1,000 times, my eyes dart around this room looking for fucking spiders. Because, you know, once every other night, I find one because I think there was a nest in here at one point. But I could never be next to that guy. Never.
No, he's creepy.
So, oh yeah, so they're sitting there at the table, and Farouk, I'm just going to call him Farouk, tells him that he thinks he has Phantom X fooled, you know, and Charles tells him not to count Phantom X out because he plays the fool often, but he's actually quite resourceful. It's kind of like they're playing a game of chess with the X-Men, and it's basically, what did I say? They're playing a game with the X-Men, and it's Charles versus the Shadow King. Farouk is making illusions to trick them into making progress on their mission, while Charles tries to nudge them on their way. And if they lose, you know, we'll get to that later, because that's talked about towards the end. So, meanwhile, back at the ranch, I mean the Shard, Psylocke, Archangel, and Bishop talk about the shit situation that they're stuck in. Angel asks for a sit rep on what's going on inside the astral plane and if the team is all right, while Bishop has other concerns. He tells Psylocke to pull them out. He reminds her of what she did in issue 1 and that the helicopters are not going away. You know, and this isn't really the time or the place to be doing what they're doing because, you know, they're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, and those choppers are flying around. You know,
They should get, like, I don't know, a team member.
Shit.
A psychic bond. You'd probably have to do them one by one. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
They're stuck here.
They're stuck. They're not going anywhere, and things aren't looking good because, you know, we get a half a page, and then we go to the next half a page from where we are right there, and then the next page we're at the Ministry of Defense at the Superhuman Crisis Command Center. Oh, I spelled command wrong. I forgot the N and the D. But anyway, they're assessing the situation. They have all the players, but they can't figure out, you know, what the hell's going on, why this happened, why they're there. Normally, these people are heroes, but they also have spotty records and could be considered, some of them could be considered villains. You know what I mean? Because, you know, a lot of these people on this team murder people, good or bad. You know what I mean? They're usually working for the side of good, but it's making these people uneasy, and they have no clue what's going on. So I think we're going to get more on that in the next issue because we don't really see too much of these guys. So we're back at the theater, and we're watching a hilarious scene of Colossus and Kitty Pryde professing their love for each other, which is kind of like a big joke to me because every issue of any comic where you see Colossus with Kitty Pryde, it doesn't matter if it's Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men, it doesn't matter if it's X-Men Gold. When they get to each other, it's always, I love you. I don't know if I love you, but I do, but we might not be able to be together, blah, blah, blah. So this is kind of making fun of all that. And they're on a balcony, and it's kind of like some Romeo and Juliet shit. But then they start changing from Peter and Kitty to Rogue and Gambit versions of Kitty and Peter, and then Peter and drag as Rogue, and Kitty dressed as Gambit. All while Gambit and Rogue watch this and criticize the show, which is pretty funny. Peter and drag dressed like Rogue is pretty fucking hilarious, I have to say. You see her like all bulky with the leather jacket and the hair, and then like Kitty looking like Gambit with the flowers looking up. And they completely just constantly change positions like that. And while that's all going on, Charles and fucking Farouk are, you know, going at it, talking about what's going on. It's not. So next up is a reenactment of the Dark Phoenix saga, but instead of Cyclops holding Jean, it's Emma. Logan takes notice that this is not how it happened. His concerns are validated when he turns around and Jean is sitting right next to him commenting on it. And she kisses him to distract him, But I think this is Xavier, right? This is
Yeah.
Xavier making Jean there
Xavier put Gene there. Like he's trying,
to
and
knock
that
him
he
out.
was the one changing all the different characters too. Like he's
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
jar them into realizing things aren't right because
So
they're
he was
just going along with this hallucination right now.
watching it as like a show, and he's trying to pull them out of it. And Gambit and Rogue kind of go for it. They don't really like. Well, at towards the end, Gambit's like, this doesn't feel right anymore, as he's looking at a Colossus dressed as Rogue hugging a kitty dressed as fucking as him. But
Yeah.
so Logan's fucking making out with Jean, which I gotta stop for a second and say, like, if you zoom in, like, it's usually small panels like this where you first see Jean in the Phoenix outfit sitting next to Logan. Usually in a comic book, when you have a panel this small, sometimes the faces look a little obscured, or that there's just not too much detail because it's a really tiny panel. But I just wanted to give a credit out to Mike Diodato, because in these panels the faces are so detailed. Like, you could zoom in and make it the size of like a tablet screen, and it looks like these two little panel squares could be the entire page. Like, that's how detailed it looks. Fucking beautiful. Anyway, so while I say Wolverine because while Logan's kissing Jean, he turns into his old Wolverine costume, which is another change thrown in there by Charles. And then he jerks back and realizes the Jean he's kissing is a rotting corpse. And this kind of knocks him out of it. And he remembers where they are, what they're doing there, what he's supposed to be doing. And then the Shadow King, pissed off that they realized where they are, and then we get the obligatory fight scene. So you get like all the characters on. So I mean, it's bound to happen. They got to give us a little bit of action in this.
Logan,
book. So
I thought this top corner where Logan is stabbing Jean. I thought at first the skeleton was throwing up on his head, but I think it's just her arm.
Wait a minute. I gotta zoom in on this. Just throwing up on his head.
As soon as I saw that, but you're right. Like, you can zoom in on the panel and you can see it's her hand, just like shadowed, colored a little bit. But yeah, when you zoom out, it looks like vomit.
It fucking does. Oh my god, that just got me. It really does.
I want to imagine it's vomit just to make it more funny.
From here out, it's vomit, and you got fucking Rogue kicking off Emma's head.
Yeah,
but basically, like, all the actors that were on the stage are now like these rotted corpses. They were
they're robots too.
And the fight breaks out, and they're just kicking the shit out of all of them. And Wolverine, I mean Logan, whatever, it's just slicing them to pieces. And then the fight ends, and Rogue can't believe it because it all seems so real, and wonders how Logan knew it wasn't. You know what I mean? And he's gonna explain, but first something doesn't smell right. He walks over to Beast and he calls bullshit, and dun, 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 it's fucking Mystique. You know, I mean, we all knew that in the first issue going in, that Beast wasn't supposed to be there, and she just doesn't even try to fight it. She just immediately turns back into Mystique. They argue for a little bit over what to do with her. She ends up convincing, I mean, the team argues what to do with her. Phantom X wants to shoot her in the fucking face. And she ends up convincing them that, you know, she knows the Shadow King really well, and out of all of them there, she's the one who could, you know, help them win the most. So, and she shows up as Beast because, let's be honest, if she showed up as Mystique, everybody would have told her to fuck off, and they would have never let her come in because nobody trusts Mystique, especially fucking Logan. And right? I mean, they made a whole book about Logan hunting down Mystique to kill her.
She looks like she's drawn looking very untrustworthy in this issue too. Like, she looks like she's up to more than she's leading on. She usually looks all hot and sexy. She doesn't look hot and sexy here, really.
She's mischievous.
Yeah.
Where else? Where am I? Oh yeah. So
the Doors.
Yeah. So they you know, they let her stay, and now we're on to round 2, and 3 doors show up. Each door has icons for specific X-Men on them. One with Rogue and Gambit, one with Logan, one with Mystique and Phantom X. And Mystique says this play wasn't a coincidence, that this is all a performance. Logan agrees, but he says it's not just Farouk. He felt a second presence, and it felt like they were screaming for him to wake up. Phantom X is starting to put two and two together. He figures out they're just pawns in a lifelike game of chess, but wonders who is trying to help them. I mean, none of them are going to guess that it's Professor X because, he died about 5, almost 6 years ago. So
yeah,
no one's
a while ago at this point.
Yeah, it's a while ago. It is time to bring him back, and I have a feeling after the 12 issues, I think that's what's going to happen because they talk about how it's going to have major repercussions on the X-Men universe, and everything's going to change after this series. So it's a year, and then everything's going to change. So
Maybe he comes back. Well, I'll save that for after. Never mind. Go ahead.
That's what I was thinking of. But all right, so where the hell was I? Oh yeah. So he accepts his fate, says fuck it, and asks Mystique if she wants to join him in their door because it has their icons, meaning them, on it. And they face the door, and she walks through, and then Phantom X stops to tells Gambit that he'll find him in this life of the Dex because he still owes him money. He's basically like, I'm gonna go through this door. But I don't think this means I'm not gonna come and get my fucking money, motherfucker. And then Gambit just kicks him through the fucking door, which is pretty funny because he turns around, he looks at Rogue and Logan, and he's like, "What?" Rogue's like, "Actually, nothing. Well done." Fucking Logan's like, "Yeah, good riddance. Get rid of this asshole." So as Gambit and Rogue and Logan are about to go through their doors, Logan says to Phantom X is a bastard, but he's right. They're not alone in this. And when they walk through whatever hell these doors lead them to, that they know one thing, they're not alone in this. And while this is going on, we also see Charles and Farouk. It's go panel for panel, like a panel for Charles and Farouk, a panel with Rogue, Logan, and Gambit. And Charles asks Farouk if he will keep his agreement. Farouk tells him that he will because he knows if he doesn't, Charles won't play these games anymore. But if Farouk wins, he gets to keep their souls and their bodies to use as vessels in the real world. And if Charles wins, he gets to give the X-Men a quick death. So either way, they're fucked. But I mean, we know they're not going to die because they're the main characters of this book, unless we're going to spend all 12 issues in the astral plane, which I highly doubt because they're on top of the shard. And I mean, I know time probably moves differently in the astral plane than it does in the real world, but I don't know how long they could carry that on with them on top of that building and the helicopters just circling. So I know we're going to see some shit go down on the outside, and that's probably going to take a while. So we got like 2 more issues of them on top of the shard, I'm guessing. And that's the end of the issue. So, and the cover of next issue, I think I lost. Did I lose you, Brandon? I lost you. Motherfucker. Did I lose you? Are you there? What's going on? Damn it! Activation fucking timeout. I was just about to message you. I was like, I noticed you weren't there for. Cool. Do you know when we cut out? LOL.